Hi Team Grade 5, it's Miss Alia Brewster here again and welcome to another edition of Grade 5 Science. Today's topic is seed and its function. But just in case you're not feeling motivated, remember the words of Marie Curie. Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less. With that being said, boys and girls, let's dive into our lesson. To begin, I'm going to recite a poem for you named The Little Plant. Some of you may be familiar with this poem. If so, feel free to recite it with me. In the heart of a seed, buried deep so deep, a tiny plant lay fast asleep. Awake, said the sunshine, and creep to the light. Awake, said the voice of the raindrops bright. The little plant heard and rose to see what a wonderful outside the world might be. Okay, boys and girls, I trust that you would have enjoyed that poem. Now, that poem speaks about a little plant. But did you know that all plants come from a seed? That's right, seeds are very important. But what exactly is a seed? A seed is a structure that encloses the embryo or the baby of a plant in a protective outer covering. Under favorable conditions of growth, a seed gives rise to a new plant using the nutrients stored in them. Different seeds have different sizes, shapes, and colors that participate in the reproduction of flowering plants. So if you ever ate a watermelon and felt disgusted by the amount of seeds that were in it, think twice, because had it not been for those watermelon seeds, you wouldn't even have a watermelon to eat. So seeds give rise to new plants. Boys and girls, there are two types of seed, namely monocotyledon seed and dicotyledon seed. Let's look at each type individually. Instead of saying monocotyledon seed, we're going to say monocot. That will be the short form of saying the entire word. And instead of saying dicotyledon, we're going to say dicot. Okay, let's go. Monocot plants have seeds that cannot be split into two. For example, the corn seed. It also has fibrous roots, meaning these roots resemble your dolly after you would have washed and combed its hair, so it looks scanted. It also resembles tiny hairs, right? Tiny fibrous hair in a numerous amount. Monocot plants also has a vascular stem, which is scattered. It also has leaves with parallel lines, meaning that upon observation of the leaf, you would notice that the veins run in a parallel direction, meaning they don't run in all directions. They run straight this way, and that's what they look like. Monocot plants also have flowers that has multiples of 3 petals. On the other hand, boys and girls, a dicot plant has seeds that can be split into 2 halves. For example, the seed of a bean plant. Those seeds are equipped with 2 cotyledon. It also has net veins on its leaf. Net veins have veins that run in various directions. They're not to be mistaken for parallel vein leaves because parallel, the veins run in one direction. However, with the net vein, we have the veins on the leaf running in all directions. It also has a taproot, which is thick in shape and structure. It also has a broad leaf, meaning in addition to it having net leaves, the leaves are usually broad in shape or appearance. The flowers of a dicot plant are multiples of 4 or 5. Now let's move on to discuss the parts of a seed and the function of each part. To do this, we're going to look at a monocot seed and a dicot seed. The monocot seed we'll be looking at is a corn seed. And if you notice from the diagram, the corn seed is equipped with a seed coat, which protects the seed and the embryo. It also has endosperm, which stores reserved food. And in the center of the endosperm, you'll find the embryo, which will develop into a new plant. On the other side, you would notice a bean seed. That is a dicot plant. It has a seed coat which is made of a tester and tegmen. The embryo of a dicot plant or the bean seed, it's more complex than that of the corn seed because it contains a plumule, a epicotyl, hypocotyl, a radicle, and 2 cotyledon. Now let's discuss the function of the seed coat in depth. The seed coat is a protective outer covering of the seed that is usually thick, hard, and brownish in color. It also contains 2 layers, the tester, which is a thick outer layer, and the tegmen, which is the delicate inner layer. A seed coat has the following parts. The first one is the micropyle, which is a small opening present at one end of the seed coat. It also has a funiculus, which is the seed stalk with which the seed was attached to the fruit. It also has a hilum, which is the region from which the seed breaks from the fruit, leaving a scar. The function of the seed coat mainly is to protect the seed from physical and mechanical damage. It also acts as a preventative measure for the excess loss of water from the seed. It's also acting as a physical barrier against the entry of parasites. Now, boys and girls, let's move on to discuss what is the endosperm. The endosperm is a tissue that is rich with oil, starch, and protein. Depending on the presence or the absence of endosperm, seeds are of 2 types. The first one being non-endospermic, which is characterized by the complete absence of endosperm, such as the seeds of the pea plant, groundnut, and gram. You would notice from the diagram shown before that a non-endospermic plant has 2 cotyledon, meaning the bean plant, which is a dicotyledon plant, instead of having endosperm, it has 2 rich cotyledon, which provides the embryo with the nourishment that it needs. The second type would be the endospermic, which is characterized by the presence of endosperm, such as seeds of millets, palms, and lilies. And of course, the corn seed, which is a monocotyledon. So unlike the bean seed, the corn seed has endosperm instead of 2 cotyledon. The endosperm acts as a reserve for food for the embryo of the seed. The functions of the endosperm includes storing of reserve foods that provide nourishment for the development of the new plant. It also protects the embryo, the next part of the seed, by acting as a mechanical barrier. Now let's move on to discuss the embryo. The embryo is the young plant that is developing inside the seed coat. An embryo contains the underdeveloped tissues of leaves, stem, and root of a plant. The parts of an embryo of a seed are the epicotyl, which is the tiny shoot of an embryo from which the entire shoot system develops. The tip of the epicotyl is called the plumule. Another part of the embryo is the hypocotyl. This is the stage of transition from the growing shoot and root of the embryo. You would also find a radicle, which is the tiny root of the embryo. You can also find the cotyledons. They are the leaves of the embryo that provide nourishment for the developing plant. There are 2 types of cotyledons present in flowering plants, monocots and dicots. The function of the embryo part of the seed is to give rise to a completely new plant. It also stores the food for nourishment of that baby plant. Okay, boys and girls, that has brought us to the end of another lesson. Today we learned what is a seed and the function of the various parts of a seed. Thank you for tuning in, and remember the words of Marie Curie: nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. Thank you for tuning in once again, and goodbye.